Guys, in this example, we want to find the x and y intercepts of the function f of x equals x minus 4 times root x minus 1. So we're not going to graph it, but if you did graph it, it would graph to be a curve in the xy plane. And maybe it would have x-intercepts, maybe it wouldn't, but it'll definitely have a y-intercept. How do you find the y? No matter what the function is, you find the y-intercept the same way. Remember, the y-intercept is the point where the graph would cross the y-axis. And what's the x value where any graph crosses the y-axis? What's the x value of that point? 0. If you're having trouble picturing that, just picture an xy plane, and any old graph, I don't care what shape it is, it's not supposed to match what this would look like. The y-intercept is here. And of course, on the y-axis, the x value, I don't know what the y value is, but the x value of that ordered pair is 0, right? That reminds us how we find y-intercepts. What do we do to find the y-intercept? Set x equal to 0. In other words, find f of 0. And what's going to pop out of this thing when you set x equal to 0? I mean, this first guy zeroes out, right? But then doesn't this guy zero out as well? This whole term? Because square root of 0 is 0, 4 times 0 is 0. And then minus 1 is the only thing that's left, right? So what's the y-intercept? Well, we plugged in 0, so the first coordinate's 0. The second coordinate's the output, which is negative 1. There it is. So that's the y-intercept. Let me quickly find the x-intercept. Remember, the x-intercept can be a little harder to find. You set y equal to 0 to find the x-intercept, so you replace f of x, the whole thing with 0. And you get x minus 4 root x minus 1. And so you have to solve this equation so it breaks down to something that looks like a previous example. In fact, we just did something similar to this. I'm going to set u equal to the square root of x because that's x to the 1/2. Like in the example where we had m to the 1/2 and m. This is the same sort of thing, same sort of substitution. So you might think it's going to be a breeze, but we're going to run into an issue here. We're going to set u equal to the square root of x. And doesn't that make u squared equal to just x? So that means the substitution is this. We're going to plug u squared where the x is, and we're going to plug u where the square root of x is and create a quadratic equation. So we do that. We get the u squared minus 4u minus 1. And then I'm going to put the equal 0 on the right side. Okay, guys, the problem with this equation doesn't factor. So what's your option here? Quadratic formula. I'm just going to fill it in for you because I'm running out of time. Negative b would be 4, wouldn't it? Yeah. Plus or minus the square root of b squared would be 16 minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is negative 1. All over 2a, which is 2 times 1. There's your quadratic formula. Okay, let me simplify. I get u is equal to 4 plus or minus. What do I end up with? Square root of 16, I think it's plus 4, isn't it? So root 20. 4 plus or minus root 20 over 2. Root 20 now simplifies to be 2 radical 5. Do you believe that? So that means I can factor a 2 out of the numerator and be left with 2 plus or minus just the root 5. Does everybody see what I did there? Factoring out a 2 out of the numerator. And I did that so that I can divide 2 by 2 and get 1 and just be left with two answers. 2 minus root 5, u equals 2 minus root 5, or u equals 2 plus root 5. But we're not done. We've got to back substitute. Remember, u was equal to the square root of x. So the square root of x is equal to 2 minus root 5, or the square root of x is equal to 2 plus root 5. This guy is done. Why? The square root of x equals 2 minus root 5 is not possible because 2 minus root 5 is negative. If you think about it, root 5 is bigger than 2, isn't it? So 2 minus root 5 is negative. So that guy's done. This guy, we're going to square both sides to solve for x. So we have the square root of x equals 2 plus root 5. Square both sides to get just x on the left side. And then remember, you got to square 2 plus root 5, you FOIL it out. Or use the formula a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. So we square the first guy and get 4. We take the first guy times the second guy, which is 2 rad 5, and we double it to get 4 rad 5. We take the second guy, square it, and get 5. Square root of 5 squared is 5. That, again, is the formula a plus b quantity squared equals a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. And so we end up with 9 plus 4 root 5 for x. And so the x-intercept would be 9 plus 4 root 5 comma 0, wouldn't it? That would be the x-intercept. All right, I'm 1 minute late, darn it. But that's it.